My name is Stacey Alpus. I am a research coordinator here at Halo, and I'll be presenting the webinar today. If you haven't joined us before, this is our fourth webinar. So today is going to be primarily on what do my physical literacy assessment results mean. I'll do a little bit of a summary about CAPEL in case you're just tuning in to your first webinar, but primarily it'll be on the results sections and how to interpret these scores. So without further ado, I will get started. So just as a reminder for those who are unaware of what HALO is, so again, I'm from the Healthy Active Living and Obesity Research Group here at CHIO. So we do a lot of research with kids and physical activity. So we're going to do a lot of things revolving around maternal health, nutrition, sleep, obesity, physical activity behaviors, anything that really touches upon childhood physical activity, we're going to talk about it. And we also have a website where we do a lot of knowledge translation. So if you want to check us out on the web, our link is there. We also have a Twitter handle as well. So we're going to post things about any publications that we have outgoing on that, and anything kind of in the world of childhood physical activity that we think is important to share with our followers. So if you want to give us a follow, feel free to do so, but definitely check out our website as well. There's lots of different research going on in our group outside of CAPEL, so it's a very exciting place to work and a place to be, and a good place to get information as well. So I'll move on and show you guys the agenda for the day, or the hour I have with you. So we're first going to do a review of physical literacy in CAPEL. The CAPEL website as well is going to be primarily something I'm going to talk about. We're also going to do some data entry stuff, so not necessarily doing it, but I'll show you how to do it. And then also we're going to go through CAPEL scoring and interpretation, and then the CAPEL reporting system, how you can use it and how you can share it with parents of the kids that you're assessing. And then I'll do a little bit of a summary at the end as well. All right. So again, for those who haven't joined us before, I'm just going to do a brief overview of the physical literacy definition. So again, physical literacy is the motivation, confidence, physical competence, knowledge, and understanding to value and take responsibilities for engagement in physical activities for life. So this is the definition that Canada has now adopted through a consensus that Participation Action ran over the course of last year. So it was released in June of 2015 at the Physical Literacy Conference in Vancouver. We've actually adopted the International Physical Literacy Association definition, which you can see there. So this is really important to note because we were using a lot of different definitions for physical literacy, but now that we have one that's, I'd say, universal for Canadian organizations, this is a very important step moving forward, so we can actually do some important work with that. So if you want to endorse the consensus statement, you can go to the link that's provided on your screen and just say that you think it's a good definition and you want to endorse it. So again, a quick review of the CAPEL domains. So CAPEL stands for the Canadian Assessment of Physical Literacy. I'm going to use that acronym throughout the presentation because it's easier for me to say, and that's usually how we talk about the assessment. So again, we can see the definition on our screen, and we notice that all four of the fundamental aspects of physical literacy are kind of demonstrated through our model here, which is the visual you'll see. So we use motivation and confidence, knowledge and understanding, physical competence, and daily behavior. And you can kind of notice that motivation, confidence, knowledge, understanding, and physical competence are in the middle there. And that's just to say that we think that we need to have all three of those aspects in order to have the daily behavior component or to be physically active for life. So that's the reason why our model looks like that. And you'll kind of see how that is intertwined through our domains. So before I start and get into what the assessment results mean, really important, and I've reiterated this a few times throughout the other webinars as well, CAPEL offers flexibility, right? So you can use the whole CAPEL if that's something that you would like to do, or you can use each domain and each assessment protocol independently. So if you just want to look at certain aspects of physical literacy, that's totally up to you. We wanted to make sure that our website and our assessment tool was accessible to as many different groups as possible. Again, we're trying to reach all kinds of sectors, so recreation, education, allied health, coaching, and healthcare are primarily what we're looking to hit. And we knew that different groups would have different needs, so we wanted to make sure that it was flexible for all. That being said, if you do want to include all the protocols, you'll get a better picture of physical literacy, and you'll get more information for the kids you assess as well. So just wanted to make that point very clear moving forward, and you'll kind of see how that'll work within our system. So first, I kind of did a little bit of an intro on the CAPO website in a previous webinar, but I'm just going to go over it again in a little bit more detail this time. That way you can kind of see how to use the website as a user. So this is what the CAPO website will look like. It's available in English and French as well. The only thing that is not available in French yet is the training videos, and those are probably going to be available, I would say, perhaps December, early January for sure. So for any of those people working with Francophone communities, it is coming, but that was our mandate to make sure the website was fully bilingual. So you can there's many tabs you can click on. There's About section, training materials, data, and contact information as well. So wide variety of uses for the CAPO website and a lot of information that you can click through. So we're just going to go through some of those things now and kind of show you how to log in and create your own username. Okay, so data entry. So the first part for data entry is, as I mentioned just briefly there, is in creating your own username and login. So the way you're going to do that is there's a login up at the top right-hand corner, and I forgot from last time, and I have this nice little, oh, not a spotlight, maybe I'll do a pen. Nice login button here. So you just click the login, and then you're going to be brought to this registration page. So you just click register. You're going to put in your username and email, and then a password is going to be emailed to you, and that way you'll have your username available right after that. And again, it is free to sign up. So if you want to create a username and password after this presentation, you're more than welcome to do so. And I should also mention that it's free to use beyond that as well. So once you've created a username and password, you have free reign over the abilities of the website, so you can use it without any charges towards you or your organization. All right, so once you've logged in and created a username, you can then create your participants, or you can then begin entering data. So this is going to be a demo page. Our webmaster, Joel, see how it says, hi, Joel, in the corner there. He's created a demo for us so we can kind of see what it looks like without any live data. So you can see that on the screen there's 7 participants that we have put in. Essentially what you would do here is you could add participants in either a bulk option or as an individual participant. You can see that we've used demo as our nickname, so demo_1 and so on and so forth. And I'm going to just show you the next couple slides kind of how that works and how you can do that. But basically this is what our data entry page would look like. And from there, once you have the participants created, you can then go and edit those participants. So if you wanted to edit, for example, the administration or admin nickname right here, you could then click edit, and you would get the screen with all of their data to enter. But I'll show you what that looks like in a little bit. So for entering participants, first off, what you want to do is you want to click add participants. So this one is the individual way, so this is just going to be the Add Participant tab. So you have options to put in a test date. So if our test date was today, we would put in November 18th, and that would come up in a nice calendar view. And we would then put in our nickname. So again, our nickname in the past slide was demo, so we would put in demo, and then we'd also put what number that participant would be. So whether it be 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. It would depend on, obviously, the participant. We then put in demographic information. So this is the only demographic information that we're going to collect from our participants. So we have gender here, age, birth month, school grade, province or state, country, and location type. So with location type, we're going to look just at very general location information. So it'll be either suburban, rural, those kinds of lists. So in that drop-down menu, that's the options that you have. So nothing specific on, like we don't have postal codes in there, for example, or zip codes, just looking for a general descriptor. Country, there's a number of countries you can add from there, so you don't necessarily just need to be from Canada. And again, the grades are going to be between the ages of 8 to 12, so grades 4, 5, and 6. That being said, you can put in information for other grades as well. But just as a reminder, it's only a valid and reliable assessment for kids 8 to 12. So when you do get information back from those kids that are outside of that age range, it'll just say that the data you get back is outside of that age range. So, but you can still get the data back as well. Okay, just going to get my clicker back. There we go. So again, you can also do an add multiple participants section. So this green circle here is just popped up to add multiple participants. So let's say you're working with a group and you wanted to add more than one at a time. This is a way you can do that in a very easy function. So this is what it would look like. Essentially, it's the same as the individual participant adding function. You would just put in the test date, the number of participants you wanted to add for the group. So let's say the group is 25. You would then select from the drop-down menu 25. And then you would just add a prefix. So again, our prefix for the example was demo. So we would put demo into that screen there. And then we would put in the start number. So if the start number was 1, we would put 1 in. So that's exactly how you would do the multiple participants. It's a very easy function. It's a lot easier than putting in everybody individually. As you can imagine, if you have a large group of children, it's a lot easier to put it in this way. So once you've saved that, then your participants would then be added to your database instantly, and then you could edit as you see fit there. So if we were to click onto one participant, so in this case this is demo_1, this is the screen that we would get. So essentially there's 5 different areas you can now enter data. The demographic data, it'll already be entered once you have added the participant if you've done it individually. If you've done it in a group function, you'll just have to click incomplete and just finish the data. Sometimes this field also might say incomplete even if you have entered it in a previous screen. You just need to click on it and say save and it should be complete, just making sure all of the areas are completed. We also have areas for physical competence, the pedometer data, and then we've broken up the questionnaire into 2 parts. So there's the physical activity questionnaire data and then the Zappa questionnaire data. So for those who were on our webinars in the past, physical activity questionnaire is primarily going to be the knowledge and understanding portion, and then the Zappa questionnaire is primarily the motivation and confidence. That being said, there are certain questions on, let's say, the physical activity questionnaire that are related to motivation and confidence, but just so you have an idea of that breakdown, it's essentially just different formats of questions. We've broken it up that way. But this is what your page would look like when you went to enter one participant's data. So again, the reason we wanted to have something broken up like this is so that groups could individualize Capable the way they saw fit. So again, you can complete all the protocols if you wish, or you can just complete a few protocols and domains. So examples here are if you just wanted to do motivation and confidence, you would pick out the questions that are related to that domain, and that's found in our manual, and then have the child complete that. Or if you wanted to do the obstacle course and pacer, you could do that. The way you would do that is you would click on the physical competence domain, input the information for the obstacle course and pacer, and that would be all you'd have to do there. You just save it. So if you were to choose that option, for example, the physical competence data and all the other pieces would say incomplete, but you're again just using it for your own purposes and just including those 2 protocols. So it wouldn't matter in that case if it said incomplete, because that's the reason you need to use it, so that's okay moving forward. Okay, so this one is going to be the demographic page. So again, if you did the multiple participant add function, this is what you'd have to do for each participant. So you just enter the gender, age, birth month, school, and grade, or not the school, but just the school grade, and then the province, country, and location type. you would hit the save button, and then it would automatically be saved for you then to say complete when you went back to the main menu. So I just wanted to share with you that while you can add participants individually and multiple, you can also do the same thing with your scores. So if you wanted to enter individual scores, you can do that, and you can also do it in a group function as well. So if, let's say, you were just assessing one child, you could then go use this screen or this page here, which has all of the protocols for the physical competence domain on one page. Fill it in as you complete the protocols with the child, and then you could easily transfer that to the CAPO website. So this is what you would see if you were to click that option. So again, it's very closely laid out to our sheet. So if I just go back one, you can see all of the protocols laid out here. And basically the screen when you flip over is the exact same. So you have sit and reach, the 2 options, grip strength, all 4 options there. Pacer, you would just hit the drop-down menu for the distance run, and then it would either be 15 or 20 meters depending on your space limitations and which pacer option you went with, and then you would put in the number of laps here. You also have plank time and then the standing height. So again, having that third option in case the first 2 are not within 0.5 centimeters of each other. Same thing with body weight. If you have a digital scale, you would only do 1 of the measurements. But if you had a different scale, you'd have to do 2, and then if it was outside of the 0.5 range, you would do a third option. Same thing with waist circumference, doing 2 measurements. And then obstacle course, having the child run through the obstacle course twice, or CAMSA, which is our new acronym for that. So again, the Canadian Agility and Movement Skill Assessment. I'll probably call it obstacle course as we move through the webinar just because I'm still not used to the name change, but just so you guys are aware it's the same thing. So you'd have the 2 options for the time and score here. And once you've had that data entered, you would then click the Save button, which is in the bottom left, and it would automatically save for you once you've done that. And if anything is incorrectly entered, it'll prompt you with a little asterisk, so you'll just have to change that. But when everything is put in correctly, you would hit Save and then back to the main menu. So this is the pedometer data that you would need to enter. So again, if you were back on the main page and you clicked the incomplete button for the pedometer, this is what you would see. So we have, just as a reminder, we're going to ask the child to wear the pedometer for 7 days. So we're going to have menus and boxes for each day of the week. So day 1 through 7. Basically here we would just enter the number of steps that they took in that day, the time on and time off. This is going to be in a 12-hour clock. It'll automatically have an AM and PM here for you, so you just have to click that. And then the non-wear time in minutes, and then the reason for the non-wear time, whether it be swimming or there are other options there as well. I know swimming is a big one, or like a water activity, or forgot, those kinds of things. So it'll give you those options in the drop-down menu. And you would just scroll down to complete that for each of the 7 days and each of the days that the child wore it. So let's say they only wore it for 4 days. You would then just complete it for the 4 days and then leave the other days blank. You would then hit the Save button right here. And if you have 3 days of valid wear time, so again, that means that it's above 1,000 steps, below 30,000 steps, and a minimum of 10 hours of wear time, you would then get a complete box when you go back to the main menu. If you have anything less than 3 days of valid wear time, however, you would still get an incomplete on that. So that's just something to be aware of, so you wouldn't actually get the information for the pedometer section. So the next box is the Zappa subscore. So this is going to be primarily the motivation and confidence component. So these questions are going to be what's most like me. So you can see here for question 1, some kids can't wait to play active games after school, but other kids would rather do something else after school. So if you're entering the data like this, you would have a paper version in front of you of the child's answers, and then you would basically just click the option that they chose. This is really a good feature on the website because if you click more than one option, which as you can kind of see is very possible. Let's say the child, I'll just show you with my pen here, so the child clicks this portion and then they also want to say this one. The computer will prompt them and say that's not the correct way, right? It'll get rid of the first one and then keep the second one. But if you have a paper copy, oftentimes the child will try to click or answer two of these. So that's not how the question works. Basically what they're trying to say is what option is most like them, and then whichever option is, so let's say it's, I'll go to question 2 on this just so I can have a blank question. So some kids don't like playing acting games, but other kids really like playing acting games. Let's say that this one was most like me. So then I would stick on this side and say if it's really true for me or sort of true. So for this one, I'm going to say it's really true for me. So I'm going to click that box there. So that's what the paper version would look like, making sure they're only clicking on or marking on one side of the page, whichever side that is most like them for that question. But if you have the computer option, I highly recommend it, just again because the computer will actually prompt them and say, this isn't a question where you can answer two, and they'll actually get rid of the second answer for them. So then it's a lot easier and for the child to understand, and also you don't have any missed questions or incorrectly answered questions. So that's just the Zappa there. So once you have completed all of the questions, you would then hit the Save button. And if you've missed any, it'll give you a prompt as well. So let's say you were going through it pretty quickly and you missed, let's say, question 4. It'll say you're incomplete, so you'll just have to find the portion where you didn't complete it properly and then go back and put that in. And that's the same thing for if a child's doing this online or if you're inputting the data yourself. And I'll get rid of those things for you. There we go. So this one is the physical activity questionnaire tab. So again, you just click the incomplete button and you would be brought to this menu. So this is the same for whether a child would see it or whether you would see it. So if you were completing this with a paper copy, you would just go through and just say what the child said. So I'll show you an example. For this question, let's say they said 30 minutes. So you would just click that one in and then go forward from there. And then if the child was doing it on the computer, it would be the same thing. And they would just click the option that was their answer. And just as a reminder for this, these questionnaires, we're also mentioning to the kids that there's no right or wrong answer. It's only their opinion, and we just want to know what they think. So just making sure we preface that before they actually go through with the questionnaire. Okay, so that's those are the questionnaires and all the tab options. So the next screen I'm showing you is if you want to put in a bulk option. So if you want to add results of a number of participants. So for this example, we're going to be back on the Manage Participants tab. So you're just going to click that tab and have your whole list of participants here on the side. And you're just going to go to the bulk options option. Once you click the drop-down menu, it'll give you a list of options you can choose from. Let's say we want to put in the results from the sit and reach. So we're going to go sit and reach, click that, and then we're going to hit go. And once we've done that, so this is just a to show you what the page would look like. So this would be what you have in front of you as raw data once you've done the assessment. So if we click forward, we'll actually have the page on the website. So once you click that bulk option, sit and reach, hit go, this is what you're going to come up with. So you're going to have all the participants in your sample that you've added, and then you can enter the data as you saw it on this screen here. So again, all the numbers would be listed on trial 1, trial 2, and then you would go in and put, let's say 23, and then a 23 for the second one, and go through each of the kids there. And this is a much easier way to input the data because you have that page right in front of you. You do it in a bulk option, and it's just much quicker than clicking each participant at once because you just see all of the entries for sit and reach, all of the entries for grip strength. As you can probably imagine, it's much quicker this way. And then, yeah, again, the same thing goes for all of the protocols you can do bulk option for. The screens will just look a little bit different than this depending on which one you're inputting, but it'll be a very easy way to input your data. Okay, so I've just gone over how to input data for an individual, how to input data for a group option, how to actually create your participants. So now, once we've inputted all our data, we're also going to get information for scoring and in the interpretation. So I'm just going to go through what that'll look like on our website and the information you can get from us. So just briefly, I just wanted to go over our scoring system. I just want to see, okay, great. The scoring system essentially is out of 100 points. So this diagram, you don't really need to know the ins and outs of too much. If you want to know more, however, you can check out either our manual to see how the scoring was created, or from our Delphi papers or method paper. So just with this, it's out of 100, and physical competence and daily behavior have been weighted out of 32 points each. So a little bit higher than our knowledge and understanding and motivation and confidence, which sit at 18 each. And the reason for that is when we did our consultations with our Delphi expert panel, they actually stated that they thought that physical competence and daily behavior should be weighted a little bit higher than the other two domains. They're still very much important, but they just thought that these two should be weighted a little bit higher. So that's the reason behind our scoring system. And again, if you want to know more, you can check out our manual or our methods paper. So now moving on to capable messaging. So I think I talked about this in the first webinar. Again, we didn't want to just provide kids with raw data and give them a grade, so to speak. So we wanted to kind of in line with Margaret Whitehead's stance on physical literacy, and everyone is developing their physical literacy differently. So that's what we've done here. Actually, I think, oh no, I don't have her quote here on this one. Sorry guys, I'm mixing up all my presentations. So this one, we give the child an interpretation based on their score. So they can be either beginning their journey, progressing on their journey, achieving their journey, or excelling on their journey. So essentially what this means, and I think I'll go through this a little bit later as well, but just to give you an introduction on it, we took our data of about 2,000 kids over the course of 6 research cycles, and we took the average of the scores for the protocols and the domains as well, and the overall physical literacy score. And the progressing category is actually going to be the average of that. So where children will typically be compared to their same age peers. And then the achieving is going to be above that average, and it's actually going to be the recommended level of where we want kids to be on their physical literacy. And then the beginning is going to be below average, and excelling is going to be exceeding that average. So again, I'll talk a little bit about it in a little bit, but just to give you an idea of what that looks like. So I just wanted to give you a quick messaging note on those interpretations. So actual scores here are not emphasized to participants, but rather we're giving them a category for their score. So again, not just giving kids raw data or scores, we're actually giving them an interpretation that they can use. Again, we're all on our own journeys. That means kids are on their own journeys too. So while one child might be progressing on their journey, another might be achieving, and so on and so forth. So we wanted to make sure we gave those kids those interpretations. That way they know that it's okay that they're on that stage of their journey and how they can get to the next stage. So again, actual scores are going to differ by age and gender. So there's no need to emphasize that actual scores have limited value here. So we aren't going to just compare, you know, girls that are 8-year-old girls versus 12-year-old boys. We're actually going to break that down by age and gender as well. And using the category of each score enables comparison across different ages and boys versus girls. Again, not comparing all of the kids within that age group age range together, we're going to actually isolate the 8-year-olds, the 9-year-olds, the 10-year-olds, and 12-year-olds, and then compare them against each other for those interpretations. So that's just an interpretation note that I wanted to mention moving forward, because we do get a couple questions on that, but that's how we do our interpretation. So these are the kind of messaging for each interpretive category. So I've broken it down in beginning, progressing for both the child, parent, and appraiser, and on the next slide I go through achieving and excelling. But essentially this is the messaging that either party would see. So for example, with the beginning category, so if you were a child, it would say you are just beginning your physical literacy journey and starting to acquire the skills that you will need. Ask your mom or dad or another adult how you can move better, stretch further, get stronger, learn more, and have more fun through a physically active lifestyle. So that's for the child. For the parent, your child is beginning their physical literacy journey and is just starting to acquire the physical competence, knowledge, motivation, and daily behaviors needed for a physically active lifestyle. Their progress towards greater physical literacy will likely require significant support and encouragement. And then moving on to the appraiser, children who are just beginning their physical literacy journey are just starting to acquire the physical competence, knowledge, motivation, or daily behaviors needed for a physically active lifestyle. Their progress towards greater physical literacy will likely require significant support and encouragement. So this would be for the overall physical literacy score, the interpretations they would get. Just to note here, this is like the information we provide to either a child, parent, or appraiser is very general at this point. As you can tell, we're not giving them specific prescriptions on what they can do to improve it. You know, for the child, it's ask an adult or your mom and dad how you can improve. A parent, again, just kind of telling them where their child is, and then the appraiser telling them that their child needs extra support. So at this point, it's very general information that can be then used to create something to help the child along their journey. So just wanted to note that, and you again can get all of the interpretations for each domain and each protocol. So with the domains, it'll get a little bit more specific, just related to the areas in that domain, and then with the protocols, it'll get a little bit more specific again. So for example, for the PACER, so if they were, let's say, beginning their journey on that protocol, it would suggest incorporating more activities that would get their heart pumping a little bit more. It might not say which activities, but just saying that that's the general way you'd want to go with improving their scores for the PACER. So just wanted to kind of note how we interpret and how we provide the messaging to the child, the parent, and the appraiser. So this is just the next slide is just achieving and excelling. So just giving a little bit different information. So again, for the child, you are achieving the recommended level of physical literacy. You can move, stretch, use your muscles, and understand and enjoy physical activity in a way that should give you some of the health benefits of a physically active lifestyle. And then the same thing is kind of being covered for the parent and the appraiser. So that's just the information you would get with the interpretation. So again, this is the ideas that you would get. Again, just very general stuff. So for this category, so the child, if they were in, let's say, progressing and beginning, we would suggest to build their physical literacy, they could do things before school. So walk, bike, rollerblade, or skateboard to school. If you live further away, you can get dropped off further from school and walk the rest of the way. So at school, they can maybe play tag during recess. So we do give a little bit more ideas, but don't necessarily make it a very specific prescription, but let the child, the parent, and the appraiser have that information, so then they can go in and you know, try to develop the physical literacy a little bit more. So if we go to the parent, for example, after school to help the child increase their physical literacy, so encourage your child to go outside rather than staying inside and watching TV. Organize a rotating schedule with other parents who would offer to supervise a group of kids while playing road hockey. So just giving them more ideas on how they can increase physical literacy and incorporate it into their child's life. So giving them, again, more ideas to move forward. All right, so just a note on capable interpretation. So I've already talked about this, but just so you guys could see it in a table form. So scores can be interpreted by overall physical literacy scores, subdomains, or individual protocols. So the interpretations, again, are going to be based on our normative data. So this is going to be the data we've collected from over 2,000 kids by the HALO research team. So you can see if you go to down to the interpretation obstacle course scores, there's the little asterisk there. It says based on data collected by HALO research team. So we're comparing the kids that we're assessing now to our normative sample. So they're being compared to their same age peers, again, breaking it down by age here. So you can see if you go to the overall physical literacy scores for 8 to 9 and 10, 11, 12-year-olds, the scores are different depending on the age. So the beginning category for an 8-year-old is going to be less than 39.2, so that's the score. And then, for a 12-year-old, it's going to be actually a little bit higher, so less than 41.3. So that's just how we've broken it down. And again, you can get that for each protocol. So if you go to the interpreting obstacle course score, you can get that broken down by age group as well. Okay, so that's our scoring system and how we have gone through and interpreted those scores as well. And now I just want to go through our reporting system. So how we actually report this information to you as the user of the website, and also to parents as well, who can then log into the website and see their child's data. So if you go back to the website under Data tab, you can actually click the reporting system. So you have to be logged into your account in order to see this information. But once you click the reporting system, you're actually going to get information about your sample. So you're going to get summary stats, which include the number of participants you have in your sample, the average age in years, and then the test dates, and then a gender breakdown as well. So the number of girls that participated and the number of boys that participated. And then if you scroll down a little further, you actually get a breakdown of the physical literacy scores overall, the domains, and then the protocols as well. So for this group, you can see that 34% are in the progressing category, and then 21% achieving, and so on and so forth. And that's broken down again by domain here, so physical competence overall. And then each domain is going to be broken down by the protocols that are inside that domain. So you can also, when you're logged in as the user, get individual scores as well. So let's say you're working with one child in particular from a larger group that you know is struggling more than his or her peers. So you just want to kind of get more information about that child. So you can click on their profile and get an overall report for them. So you can see that this child here, their overall physical competence score is at progressing. So you can actually break that down by protocol and see which areas they are actually struggling in and excelling in. So for this child, for example, they're very good at aerobic fitness and flexibility, but they're struggling a little bit more on their obstacle course, so their motor skills, their muscular strength, those things. So we want to then tailor our program to help increase those areas of physical literacy for that child. That way they can move along on their journey and improve. And if you want to go a step further than that, you can actually scroll down on that page for that child and get the raw scores as well. So for this one, this child, they had, we'll go with the grip strength. So if you just want to bring your eyes right here. So the total grip strength is 23 kilograms. So they're actually beginning their journey. So we can actually use this score to help us, create goals for this child. So if let's say we're assessing them now, and this is their score now, but we want to try to help them create goals for the future and improve their score, we could then create a goal maybe to get to 24 kilograms or 25 kilograms by maybe January, and then work with them to make that happen. So they could set their own goals, and then you could help them create activities to go along with that. So just a lot of versatility with the Capable website, and using the scores to help you improve the physical literacy of the kids in your program and your program function as well. So another really cool feature of our website is parents can actually log in as well. So basically what happens when you input a participant, they'll actually get an email, a password that goes along with that username. So that's the information that you would then provide to a parent who wants to log in and view the report of their child. So they would just click in the username portion. So if it was demo_1, they would put that in, and then their unique password that would be sent by you to them, and then they would log in from there. And from there, the information they would get is very similar to what you would see, but a little bit more colorful and a little bit more information. So we have info here on ideas for building physical literacy overall. So here we have reducing sitting time, allocating time for free play, and being active with their child. And then we'll actually go further and we'll go down and actually give them the breakdown of the overall physical literacy score, and the domains, and then we also go into the protocols as well. So for this child, they're actually excelling on their physical literacy, and they're doing very well in the daily behavior, knowledge, and understanding portions, and motivation and confidence. They're also progressing on their physical competence. So then you might see that as something you might want to work on with that child. So then you can scroll down further, and you actually get a full breakdown of physical competence in each of the domains. So with this one, again, they're progressing. So you can see they're achieving on the pacer and obstacle course, but they might want to work on their plank, so their muscular strength. So that's something that the parent could then talk to their child about and discuss on about what activities they could try to incorporate into the child's daily activities or into their programs. We'll also break it down by average test result for the group as well, so they can the parent can then see how their child is doing compared to their peers in their group. We'll give them information on the scores as well as their child's scores as well. That's a lot more more information the parent can use to either talk to their programmer and maybe mention that they should work on certain aspects with their child, and just kind of know where their child is compared to their peers as well. So you can kind of see here the average test result for the overall physical literacy score, also for each of the protocols, and then the classification for that score. And then we also have information of what the classification of the scores means. So excelling is going to be exceeding that minimum recommended level, and so on and so forth. So just providing parents with that extra little bit of information that they may need to help their child on their physical literacy journey. And again, this is going to be a breakdown of the child's actual scores. So you're going to have the average for the group and then their scores as well. Okay, so I'm just going to do a quick summary now of what we've talked about today, and then I can take a few of your questions, and that'll be the end for the webinar today. So just want to mention that the Capable website, we use unique and secure Capable logins and passwords. So when you create your own username and password, that is yours and yours alone. We use all or some of the protocols, we use all of them, but you can use all or some of them. It's up to you. The Capable website can then be used to enter results from individuals or groups, depending on your needs and your organization's needs. And then the scores are then interpreted into 4 different categories: so beginning, progressing, achieving, and excelling. And then we also provide you with individual and group reports that are available online, and that's available to you as the appraiser and also for you to give to parents as well. And there's one thing I should note as well. There is, and I talked about this in the second webinar, but in case you guys weren't able to join us for that, when you input data on our website, there's actually a disclaimer up top. And it's just saying that when you input data to our website, you're actually going to be putting data into our larger database. that's going to be housed in a secure server at the CHIO Research Institute, and this has gone through our ethics board. And this information is going to help us basically create a snapshot for kids' physical literacy. We're working on a project right now through RBC to help inform that database through kids all across Canada, so in the provinces and territories. And this way we're going to be able to, again, see the physical literacy of kids across the country and help inform the physical activity report card that would be released on the indicator of physical literacy, which is going to be coming out in the future. So a lot of good, basically if you use our website, it's going to be a lot of data for us that to then inform you in future years and help get us more information on Canadian kids and see how we can help them in the future. So a lot of fun things that are happening with our website, so I just wanted to mention that as a disclaimer as well, because I do got questions on that. And one thing I do want to mention as well, the website is completely free, so again, if you want to log in and create your own username, enter data, get the reporting system, it is free for you to use at any time, so no cost to you or your organization. Okay, so I just quickly want to acknowledge the Ontario Trillium Foundation for helping to fund this webinar and bringing this information to you, and also through Participation for helping us and partnering us on this project and helping us with this webinar. I also just wanted to leave my contact information up on the screen in case you want to get in contact with me. We are well, my job primarily for the next year or so is to go around the province of Ontario and just give you information about CAPL and help organizations know what it is and how they can use it. So if you have any groups that might benefit from this, please feel free to contact me, and our website is there as well as the Halo's website and our Twitter handle. That's it for the webinar today. We do have another webinar in 2 weeks that's going to talk about our screening task. So that is going to be from 1 to 2 p.m. on December 2nd. So feel free to join us for that. Again, signing up the same way you did for this one. But yeah, I'm happy to take any questions that you have related to the results and the interpretation and scoring system for CAPL.
Thanks, Stacy. So I don't actually see any questions in the question box yet. So if anyone has one, feel free to type it in now. In the meantime, I just want to thank you, Stacy, for giving another great presentation and remind folks, again, I know you just said it, but that we have another one coming up in 2 weeks. It's the fifth and final one of this series. And then starting in January, we're going to have another 5-webinar series, the same one as these ones. So if you're just joining us now, feel free. In January, you'll be able to participate from the beginning if you want to, and that information can be found on the CAPL website, which is there for you on the slide.
Right here.
There it is. Oh yeah, so I saw you using the highlighter or the pens earlier.
I had so much fun with this, everyone. It's
I love
cool.
it.
There it
Yeah.
is.
So where the arrow is, right there. You can visit there and read a description of what the webinars are going to be about. So with no questions, I think we'll end it here 10 minutes early, and I hope everyone has a great day.
Yeah, thanks so much, everyone, for tuning in. Really appreciate it.